Okay guys, this is the second live stream of this amazing game, which I'm not going to go over a lot of the intro stuff that I went through in the first video. I'm a little farther in. I've changed my ships. Got rid of the one I did have and bought a couple of different ones. Right now, the ship that I'm using is the Dolphin. It is a passenger vessel, and I currently have two first-class passengers, which you can see the mission there. Some famous explorer named Kalen Hill wants to visit the Feast of Stars and collect data. And it tells you what the passenger expects while they're on board. They don't react well to danger. If I take any hull damage, it'll reduce their satisfaction. They're laid back. Delays, like me pausing the game to go in and set up this live stream, won't affect their attitude. You're not likely to encounter any hostiles that are targeting your passenger. They don't like to be scanned, so that means you need to avoid dropping out of super cruise. You can, as far as I'm aware, you can only be scanned when you are not in hyperspace or super cruise, and I'll explain that in a minute. Neutral, performing any illegal activities will only slightly reduce their satisfaction. My payment once I finish this mission will be 8 million credits, a little bit of reputation, a little bit of influence, which will affect right now. They're currently happy. I have 3 weeks, 5 days, and 23 hours and 20 minutes left to complete this mission, and I will show you why I have so much time in a minute. They only requested business class, but I did. I upgraded them to my first class cabin. Right now I'm sitting above a star because I was scooping up fuel. There's the star, and all you have to do is equip your ship with a fuel scoop and then get within range. But you have to watch your heat meter. If you get too hot, your ship will take damage, and if you continue to take damage, obviously your ship gets destroyed. This is the next sector, or the next star system that I'm about to jump into here, but I want to explain to you why it is giving me so much time to complete this mission. Okay, and this is the only mission I have. This is the only one I'm working on right now, and it's going to take me some time to do. But let's take a look at the galaxy map. Let's zoom out for a moment here. Over there where that white box is, Cubio, that was the system that I started in. And as you can see, let's exit this for a moment. Let's take a look at the navigation screen. As you can see at the top underneath the navigation transaction contacts tabs, it shows the system that I'm in, my next system waypoint, and I still have 107 jumps to get to my destination sector. And let me just say that that is not my destination sector ultimately. That is, let's go back to the galaxy map and zoom out a little bit. You can see the path that I have, the route that I have plotted, that my computer has plotted for me. At this point right here, let me get up to that level. At this point right here, in the Regia TA-NB34-2 star system, that is where my ship will, that's bingo fuel for me. And there is a star there that I can fuel up. But that is the last system that I'll be able to jump to before I run out of fuel. And you can see that by the solid, kind of translucent orange path there. The dotted path is the remainder until that's the point. There is the 107 jumps that, let me get up to that level as well. That is where the 107 jumps end, is in that sector at the end of that line. zoom out. We'll move a little faster when you zoom out. And as you can see, that is quite the distance. But that's not even, that blue marker up there, that is my mission destination. That is where the passenger is requesting. Let's zoom out. Close to the Soul and Heart nebulas. Kind of neat. And yes, you can go into those nebulas and visit the star systems that are in there as well. This is the system, and I have no information on the system, but this is ultimately where I have to take this person. Then I have to take them all the way back to Kubio. Now I'm quite certain that along the way somewhere, and you see where I'm at now, and I have to go all the way, and I'm zoomed out considerably. So it's going to be, I'm guessing ultimately well over 200 jumps before I reach my destination. Now, fortunately, this ship doesn't have a planetary scanner. I can scan the system, and I can get information about all the bodies in the system, as far as what they're comprised of and whatnot, using my full spectrum system scanner. But enough about that. You can see the reason I didn't plot all the way to my destination, my ultimate destination, is because that it was outside the range of my computer's capability to plot a course. So, and like I said, now I could stop now and go and plot another probably 20 or 30 systems at the end of but why not just wait until I get to the end of what I've got currently plotted and just go ahead with that. All right, so we're going to jump into hyperspace. I chose this system to start the recording in because, well, there's nothing here. And there's 2 stars in this system, and I believe that's about it. Yeah, I'm slowing, no, 3 stars. Absolutely no planetary bodies or moons whatsoever. And those 2 stars orbit each other. I believe. All right, so let's go ahead and speed back up. We're going to jump into, and as you see, this next system is 7.44 light years away. There is no governing body. There's no security forces. And clean means that I've discovered, if you heard my last video, I didn't know what that meant. It means, clean means that I'm not carrying any illicit cargo. Some cargo may be legal in some systems, may be illegal in others. So that's what that means. And in case anybody's wondering, I am playing on a Rift S headset. I'm going to move away from the star a little bit. So if I do, all right, there's 9 bodies, which you can see 6 of them. So there's some that are hidden in some fashion. So I like to get away from the primary star in the system and line my ship up a little bit with the orbital plane before I bring up my FSS, which is the full spectrum system scanner thing, whatever it's called. And this, if you're playing on VR, I'm not sure about other headsets, but it took me a while to learn how to do this. And you can remap, let me exit this for a moment. You can remap in the options all of your controls. But because of the limited controls, buttons, and interface that you have with the touch controllers, you have to use your keyboard as well. There's no 2 ways around that. You absolutely must use your keyboard. So to use the FSS with the Rift S, I've got it mapped to, I believe it's my apostrophe key, whatever's right next to the enter key, because I can't see my keyboard. And while I'm a decent typer, I still have to see my keyboard to type. I'm learning, since I've been playing this game, a lot more where my keys are without having to look at them, which I guess, for the years that I've been on using a PC, I guess I really know it anyway. I just haven't trusted that knowledge, if you understand what I mean. So, but I've got it mapped to the, I believe it's the apostrophe key right next to the enter key, so that I can just go right to it with, and that brings up, but you have to be in the lowest, your throttle has to be throttled all the way down in Super Cruise in order to use this scanner. Now, if you look, we'll start at the low end of the spectrum. It gives you, at the bottom of the screen, it gives you some information, but as you can see, a lot of the instructions at the bottom as to what to push and what not to do, make the scanner do various things that it does, is cut off at the end over there. But look at the filtered spectral analysis bar, and you can see it's like radio frequencies, which, well, not like, it is radio frequencies. The higher you go, the larger bodies, the larger mass signals you're going to receive, such as gas giants. And that starts right about here. No, right there. Anything above that, around this point, above this frequency, is going to be planetary bodies, gas giants. Then you get into water worlds, ammonia-based planets, Earth-like worlds, rocky ice worlds, icy worlds, rocky bodies, high metal content worlds, metal-rich bodies, and then asteroid clusters, and then everything below that is all concentrated signal sources, and then transient signal sources. Concentrated and transient. Concentrated is going to be like fleet carriers, somebody's carrier, stations, like orbital stations, that kind of thing. And then below that, transient signals is going to be salvage points, places where ships have been destroyed by pirates or mercenaries, that type of thing. Pardon me. I had to take a drink. We're not going to go through all that. We're going to just focus on the 9. And as you can see in the info panel at the top right, we have 9 bodies. There are 24 signals total detected, and those are all in the transient signal range. And I'll go ahead and show you one of those. And that is a salvage. It doesn't belong, it's not registered as belonging to any faction or state. And it tells you that the threat level is 0, which means it's safe. And depending on what your combat level is in this game. But there are, oh, by the way, when you've got anything, when you're focused on the signal of any, whatever it is, planetary body or transit signal, whatever, over on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see how far away that signal is. And I'm not sure why the temperature is showing me 64 Kelvin on that screen. I guess that's the temperature of the surrounding space. But we're going to focus, like I said, on the planetary bodies. I just wanted to show you that as well. So now if you look above each, you'll see in kind of like brackets there, you'll see various carrots shapes. And those are to line you up with the signal. If that's exactly what you're looking for, you're going to see that signal on your kind of like radar HUD thing right there. And we're going to discover an icy body. I usually don't stick on these too long unless they have, in the info panel, it shows geological features, which is all I've ever found on a planet. And it doesn't tell you exactly what those features are, but it will tell you how many there are. And if I had a planetary scanner, I could go to that planet and scan the surface of the planet and get detailed information on the geology. But I don't have that on this ship. That's on a different ship. Sometimes you'll have to zoom in a couple of, you'll have to tighten your your focus on the frequency in order to get what you're looking for. It gives you, and all of this information is scientifically accurate, and that's one of the things that I find so awesome about this game is, and when I say it's scientifically accurate, it's based on star charts that have been collected and galactic data that has been collected for generations, for years, by scientists, by astrophysicists for years. So this is not just some randomly generated, made-up information. The majority, from what I've read, everything in this game is accurate as far as the size of the galaxy that we're playing in this game. Nothing on, and you can zoom in and out using your grip buttons once you're in a kind of a focus mode of your scanner. Nothing here. It gives you the content of what the planet consists of, the planetary body consists of, but all right, there's one there. And once you're done with this, you can, I will show you how to bring up the system map and see the graphical representation of this system as well. Now, see how the signal doesn't really match what you've got on screen, so we're going to move slowly over, and if you see, it's got the two carrots at the top, the one in the middle, and then the two at the bottom. And now that isn't, if I stayed over here, I wouldn't be in focus. I wouldn't be focused on the proper signal, so I wouldn't even be able to hit my right trigger to zoom into that area. So we're going to go back over here, and once it's solid, then you know you're on the right track. You've got the right. Now, see how it keeps spinning around? It's because I'm off target just a little bit. And there you go. So we're going to get out of that, zoom out, see where the next one was. Again, this one goes up to the other end, and this is going to be the last one in the whole system. See, we've got 8 out of 9 scanned. And again, over on the right, if you look at all of the information, I don't know what a lot of that means. I understand what Earth masses are. This planet is obviously smaller than the Earth, considerably. Not. It has half the gravity of Earth, and it has no atmosphere. Well, it has atmosphere, but it doesn't have any pressure. The surface, there's no. Definitely got to wear a suit. But the atmosphere is composed completely of neon, which that would be an awesome planet to check out. And yes, that's not the exact same neon that we're thinking of, but 40% ice, about 40% rock, and about 20% metal. And if you look in the information panel, you can see what resources you can get off of that planet. If I were to land on that planet. If you hold your, I believe it's your Y button, and then move your right joystick to the right, it brings up the graphical representation of that of this system that I'm in. It has 5 planets with 3 moons. The ones that have a little blue line on them are planets that you can land on and collect resources. I don't have an SRV in this vehicle. I do on my other ship. And you can actually land on these planets and drop a rover and drive around on the planet's surface. If you have the right equipment installed, you can mine, you can collect resources off of that planet. All right, so the next sector that we're going to, the next system, is low security, which means there is a faction present in this system. Let's drop. But they're not affiliated with any of the superpowers in the galaxy. At least not any of the superpowers I'm aware of. Let's talk a little bit about those superpowers. All right. That's my discovery scanner. I shoot that. I fire off a signal in this system. There's a ship coming up on me. See that? The and we won't be able to see him because he's flying too fast. So am I. But that's the ship is that diamond-shaped signal on my HUD that you see there. I am not a fighting ship at all, and he may very well. I don't know who he is, what he's doing. I can't scan him, but I can tell that okay, there's a system authority vessel. That's probably who that was. A Diamondback Explorer, an Eagle, and another Eagle, which is another system authority vessel. That's the security that's in this system. Okay, that's a federal gunship, so and the Federation and the Empire do not get along. And I am not talking about Star Trek. But this system, while it isn't allied to any superpower, does have several individual factions. 3, in fact. And I'm neutral with with all of these factions because I've never had any interactions with them at all, except this one right here is a Federation faction. You can tell by the symbol, and I'll tell you more about that in a moment. I believe that's independent. That one right there, that symbol. I may be wrong, but that symbol is definitely Federation. And no, that's not the Alliance. I don't know what that bird symbol was. But those are the 3 primary superpowers in the galaxy. And as you can see, I'm 98% allied with the Empire, and I have attained the rank of Serf, and I'm 98% through that rank, ready to hit the next one, whatever that may be. I'm cordial with the Federation, and I'm still neutral with the Alliance. I haven't had much interaction with them either. But you can get more information, I think, about, if you select them and hit your A button, it gives you, this game is so incredibly complex, yet it's easy to pick up, and I'll tell you why. Because while you're flying around doing this stuff that I'm doing here, you can go to your main screen. See my playlist here? Go to your main screen, bring up your codex. And this has every single thing that you could possibly want to know. And I covered this a little bit, I believe, in the first video. But the cool thing about the knowledge base is if you want to learn about the various superpowers like the Empire, the Alliance, the Federation, the alien race called the Thargoids, the individuals that are the big players in this game, or colonial, the corporations that are in this game, everything that you want to know is right here. And the cool thing about it is, if you want to know about the Alliance, for example, which I'm going to play some stuff here in a moment, all you have to do is like the introduction. You don't have to sit here and read this. Go over and add it to your playlist. And like I said, your playlist is right here. And everything that you add to your, and we'll start with the Alliance. I'm just because it's there. And anything that happens, like if your ship needs to give you information, if somebody tries to pull you out of Super Cruise, and I'll tell you about that in a moment. Whatever you're playing on your playlist will stop playing. And just like your playlist on your MP3 player, your phone, or whatever it is you Okay, so that's your playlist. The only thing I don't like about this game, and I have maybe there's a way to shut it off. I just haven't discovered it yet. I haven't spent a whole lot of time looking for it. But if I'm fighting or doing whatever, and I'm looking around, if I land on my comms panel, which is right there, my flight controls stop. I can strafe left and right with my right um, joystick, but my left joystick, which is my primary flight control, stops working the moment that panel activates. And I don't know if there's some way to shut that comms panel off. It does give you information. If any of the other players are in the sector and they're talking to you or whatever, it shows up there. And there's a ton of information, like your history. Yeah, I got killed yesterday. That dude right there ticked me off. I was so mad. I had a $7 million contract with another passenger. I had taken him where he wanted to go, which was nowhere near the distance. It was like maybe 1/8 of the distance of this current contract. But I got all the way there, got all the way back, was in my home sector of Cubio, headed back to Medupe City, and out of nowhere, this dude, I assume he's a player, just pulled me out of Super Cruise and shot. You know, this ship doesn't have any kind of defenses. Um, it's a passenger vessel. That's all it is. It's a passenger ship. It has absolutely. I have a few defenses. I've got some an ECMS. I've got and a chafe launcher, and I've got a couple of weapons. But this is not a fighting ship, and I have not developed my fighting skills near enough to do any kind of damage with the ship that is my fighting ship. All right, so let's get out of this. So, and you can see from your module section, actually fire groups would be better. I've got a beam laser, which is effective against shields, and then I've got a cannon, which is effective against hulls, but the hard points that those are connected to are class 1 hard points, which are the smallest that you can get. Like I said, this is not a fighting ship at all. But as you see, I've got the ECMS, the electronic countermeasures, chafe launcher, but they're not effective because, first off, they're just my skill's not there. That's the primary thing. But I have been able to hold my own, as you can see from my previous video. My combat rank is now mostly harmless, as opposed to harmless, which is what it was in the last video. I don't remember what my trade and explorer ranks were. I think that's COC or CQC rank. That, I believe, is, yeah, CQC. I've yet to do that at all because, well, I don't know anybody and I don't have any gamer friends. But apparently you can join people for other missions. Wait, what is it? The focus on this is ridiculous. It's so the focus window is so small, and I'm glad it is because of the problem that I mentioned earlier. But it's also a pain in the ass. Breaking the law may cause you to be kicked. Cause you to be kicked from what? The ship? Damn it. Oh my God, this is so very aggravating. Oh, and by the way, even though I have not activated my hyperdrive, which in the game it's called a frame shift drive, but that the frame shift drive handles your hyperspace windows from one system to another, as well as your in-system super cruise, which is what I'm in now. And we can drop out of. First, you have to throttle down and get within a safe speed. See, I'm still going too fast. And you can drop out of super cruise, and this is what you would. This is the mode that you would be in. This is the mode that you would be in if you were in combat, or if you were scanning a planet, or mining an asteroid or whatever. And you can also switch to combat mode and bring up. I think I have 3 fire groups right now. Yeah, A, B, and C. Oh, wrong button. Let's go ahead and deploy my cannons or my weapons. And since we're in a relatively safe system here, and as you see, your thrusters are what come into play when you're not in super cruise. And there's my ECMS on the top of the ship and my chaff launchers. And like I said, I've got a beam laser and a cannon. The one on the right there is my beam laser, and the one on the left is the cannon. And I can't fire them while I'm in this mode, so you can see them fire. But I can if I can't fire my cannon, but I could fire my beam laser, but not from this mode. That's my thrusters, which gives you a little boost of speed while you're in combat, and you can see the lateral the directional thrusters as they kick in. When you have flight assist off, which is what you make it back to me, and you can see it up in there, top flight assist is off. It is so much harder to fly because this is more accurate as far as space flight goes. Whatever direction you're moving in, you're going to continue moving in that direction until see, I couldn't get locked onto a single target. I could probably bring my ship into, but as you can see, I'm still moving, even though my ship is facing a different direction. This is more accurate representation of space flight. But with flight assist on, okay, now I'm completely stopped right now. But with flight assist on, it makes it much easier to traverse the various systems in the galaxy. So, like, apparently I can't fire any of my weapons right now. There's the ECM and the chaff, which I can fire those apparently. And the chaff will disrupt, will assist in disrupting any locked-on missiles or torpedoes, and the ECMS will help disrupt any locked-on gimbaled or turreted weapons, which is what I have. Both of my weapons are turret weapons, which means all I have to do is fire the trigger, and as long as they're within range, the computer will target them automatically. Mostly I have them there as a deterrent, as opposed to anything else. I do also have a forward, I forgot to mention that, I do also have a forward point defense system, which if I believe the range is 3,000 meters on that, and it will attempt to shoot down any incoming missiles. or torpedoes that are coming towards my ship. And there's the thrusters. All right. Let's retract my hard points. You cannot enter Super Cruise if you have, oh, there's another thing you have here. In those signals that we talked about, let me get back into Super Cruise here. All right, now let's throttle back to the lowest speed for Super Cruise. And let's bring up the FSS again. And oh, there's actually a gas giant in this planet that or in this system that I missed. So let's focus on that signal range, that frequency, and see if I can locate the orbital plane here. Oh, it's probably way over there. Yeah, because I was flying quite a bit. There it is. Now this planet does have, wow, well, it is a gas giant, so being 1,000 times larger than the Earth makes sense. And the temperature of that planet is 172 Kelvin. It's 67,659 light seconds away. Hydrogen and helium, and obviously there's no metals or rock or anything on it. But if I had a planetary scanner, I would target this planet and I would go into a they call it a surface scan. Technically, it's in this case it would be an atmosphere scan. Keep doing that. That, by the way, if you don't know, once you do get into the FSF, on the Oculus Rift touch controllers, if you press the B key, that will bring up step-by-step instructions on how to use your scanner. I can't tell you about any other control scenarios, control configurations other than Oculus Rift or Rift S, because I don't know, I don't have any information on those. I don't have one of those headsets. That's the only headset I have. I tried playing this. You can play this outside of VR, just with the keyboard and the mouse. But once you play it in VR, I just it's not the same. Playing it any other just on a regular flat or curved screen is not the same. Although OBS is recording this off of the screen apparently, but the effect is completely different. And the one thing that I like about this game, as opposed to say No Man's Sky, is the fact that you can look all the way around. And when I'm in VR No Man's Sky, I can't do that for some reason. I don't know if it's the capabilities of my system. Sorry. I don't know if it's the capability of my system, or let's bring up my Discovery scanner again. The Discovery scanner can be used at any speed, but to use the FSS, you have to drop out of. You have to throttle all the way down in Super Cruise. Now, I was going to tell you about people pulling you out of Super Cruise. And by the way, yes, that is where it says 9.15 light years away. That system, 4.6 days. Yes, that does mean 4.6 actual real life days. So I could eventually make it to that system without, which I may run out of fuel, but I could probably make it to that system, and you will continue to increase in speed. I don't know what the top speed is for this particular ship. As you can see, my speed is steadily increasing. There is a limit. I just don't. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure that information is available somewhere online if I decide to look it up if I was that interested. But I can't imagine anybody sitting in their ship to see how long. I mean, I'm sure somebody has, and hell, I may talk enough during this video to see how long it actually takes. At this current speed, though, it would take me 4 days, real time, to get to that system. But as my speed increases, you can see that time decreases, well, pretty quickly. And I think I mentioned this in the first video. 1C, 1.00C is the speed of light, because C is, I think, and like I said, I mentioned it, it's the Latin representation of constant. Megameters, kilometers, and the lowest speed that you can acquire, that you can travel in Super Cruise, is 30 kilometers per second. And speed is controlled with the Rift S touch controllers with your grip controllers. Right is increased throttle, left is decrease. That blue line that you see right there is your optimal turning speed. So if you're like trying to avoid, which I'm going to tell you about now, if you're trying to avoid somebody's interdictor, which is how they pull you out of Super Cruise, the best thing to do, if you drop your throttle all the way down, you're automatically going to get pulled out of Super Cruise. And it is going to do hull damage to your ship. Your cooldown rate for your frame shift drive is like a good minute real time to, the whole game operates on real time. But even if you have even if you're throttled all the way down and you've got your FSS active, you will know when somebody tries to pull you out of Super Cruise. The best thing to do is to automatically just hit your X button, which will shut down your FSS. At the same time, push your grip while you're exiting, and that will throttle you up. And if you're trying to avoid somebody's interdictor, which is a weapon, I'll tell you about that in a moment. If you're trying to avoid being pulled out of Super Cruise and you have to follow the escape vector in order to evade the interdiction, then make sure that your speed is roughly around the center of that blue line, because that's your optimal turn. And you will have, depending on the strength of their interdictor, you will have to move considerably. And I'm sure in one of these other upcoming sectors here, I'm gonna be interdicted. I've been interdicted 4 times now just on this cruise so far in one system, and it wasn't even a hostile system; it was a neutral system. And I don't know if it was other players. I don't know if it was an NPC. I don't even know if they have NPCs outside of the internal security forces for each superpower and faction. I'm not sure who it was. I know the one guy that killed me yesterday was a player, and I believe these are all players. But you'll see them pop up on your radar when they are, and I believe the players are square and the others are kind of a triangle on the radar. So anyway, the weapon that is used is called an FSD interdictor. FSD is your frame shift drive. And I've never used one. I've never had one on any of my ships, but because like I said, my combat skills are like nothing at this point, which is kind of surprising because I don't remember what space sim I played like 20 years ago and I was awesome at it. But of course that was 20 years ago. So we'll see what happens in this next sector. We'll go ahead and jump into hyperspace here and get to this next system. See, we're back to 4+ days now because I lowered my speed. I really feel like my speed would increase enough to where could make it there in like say an hour into that other system. All right, this is an anarchy system, and there's nothing here but another star, 1 star. Oh. And although it's already scanned the system, and that's the only thing that's in the system is that star, And there's having that being the only thing in this system, I highly doubt there's any factions. Yeah, there's no factions in here at all in this system. And most everything, for example, to jump to hyperdrive or hyperspace is a button combination on your touch controllers, such as the Y button plus the right joystick down. As you can see from, if you hold any of the buttons when you're in Super Cruise, if you hold any of the buttons, well, not even any at any point, it's going to tell you what each of the, if I were to hit the joystick left, the right joystick, and toggle it left, that's what opens up the galaxy map. The B button gets you out of most everything. And then joystick right with Y button press brings you into the system map, which obviously there's nothing here but the star. So, and as you can see, the same Y button down brings you, with the right joystick down, brings you into your hyperspace jump. The next system is anarchy, meaning there's no security forces. So that could be just another single star, it could be a dual star system or triple star system, whatever. But and it could be, it could have 24 planets, but it's all dominated by mercenaries or whatnot. You know, it could be anything. You never know until you get there. All right, as you can see, there are several planetary bodies on the radar here. So we're going to go ahead and hit the Discovery scanner. There's 8 planetary bodies, and as you can see, you can only see 5 of them on the scanner. So we're going to pull away from that star a little bit so that it's not right up in your face when you bring up your scanner. And then we're going to throttle all the way down in Super Cruise and bring up the FSS. And you can see that line. The first line you see is going to be the planetary, or the orbital plane, how the various, it's roughly the rough line that the bodies that orbit the primary star, or whatever star, if there's multiple stars in the system, it's the rough plane that they follow. They could be off, you know, a few degrees, you know, well, not a few tens of degrees. So, and all of these are all icy bodies. So this is probably a dead system. There's probably not any mercenaries or anything in this system. And it's just shipping lane is pretty much all this is. This system is used for. So let's get out of that. Let's go to the next ones. Nothing there. And as adaptive zoom failed just means that I tried to target something that there was nothing to target. And that is a signal. That's one of the transient signals, which again is salvage. And it could be because, you know, a convoy ship exploded, or some ship got destroyed by mercenaries that were just traveling through the system, or whatever. But we're going to go back to those. Aren't necessary to get a complete system scan. The only thing that matters in that case are the planetary bodies. Now you'll see an orbital line appear on your FSS once you have scanned a planet, like that one right there. That white line is the orbital line of that planet. You'll see a second one appear. Nothing there. And I've got one more somewhere. Wow, this one's out there somewhere. Over here. Nope. That is different system, or the star of this system. Wow, where's the last planet at here? Oh, there it goes. Like I said, it could be off a few tens of degrees. Okay, so there's nothing in this system. Oh, didn't mean to exit the scanner. There is nothing in this system other than 7 planetary bodies, or 7 planetary bodies, and then the star. And that last planet that I discovered takes a very, very odd orbit around that. All right, there was something else I was going to say there, but I forgot what it was. All right, next system is also anarchy. Most of the time, anarchy systems are like this. They're just dead systems. And when I say dead, there may be resources to acquire on some of those planets, and you may be able to set up a presence in this system, but it really depends on what resources are available. Okay, again, this looks like just a 1-star system. Yep, that's it. Nothing else in this system but this 1 star. And you can look over in your info panel, it will tell you what type of star is in the next system, which looks like another brown dwarf. And I know it looks red, but the brown dwarfs look red for some reason. They and then occasionally your passenger will send you messages right here. Okay, this we're gonna go ahead and line up with the planetary, the orbital plane. 19 bodies total. This is an anarchy system. You can see the lines on that star as I'm moving away from it. It's affecting the speed of my ship. Obviously, if I'm going high speed and I'm at a specific distance from it, then I can get some I can do the slingshot maneuver you hear so much about in various. All right, so we're far enough away. Let's go ahead and slow down. Let's check real quick to see if there's no factions in this system. So this is just like that last system. There may be some gas giants and icy bodies. Yeah, there's a couple of gas giants with 19 planetary bodies total. All right, so let's take a look at. And this one's a very good distance away. Class 1 gas giant, and no life, no activity. Typically, once you zoomed into a gas giant, you can dial down to a lower frequency of like the icy and rocky bodies, because those are typically going to be moons of the gas giants. And depending on their distance to other objects, like their parent planet or other moons, it may even have its own moon. A moon may even have its own moon orbiting it, and depending on the distance will determine whether or not it has any geological activity. There are 46 geological features on that moon, and that's the only moon at this frequency. So we're going to back out one more level, and there's the first one we scanned was B. This one's A. So this is the first moon on this planet. This is tiny, tiny. Look at the Earth masses on this thing. All right, 21 geological features. So let's go get the next one. And there's C. No geological features, no reason to hang out here. We'll zoom out again just to see if there's anything missed. There aren't. So now let's head. Now there are icy and rocky bodies that orbit out and around by themselves, which those would be planets. And as you can see, we've got a couple here. All right, so that is the 5th planet in the system is an icy body that contains no features. That's probably, no, that's a moon orbiting the 5th planet. And in case you're not familiar, this, you can tell that with the lettering of the number A. The sector is, and I'm very, Arietis sector LY-P A6-1 is the sector, and this icy body is named 5A because it is the first moon of the 5th planet. That's what the A represents, and the 5 is the 5th planet. But, and that may be the only planet, that may be the only moon this planet has. Yep. So we're going to go back up to the higher frequency to find that other gas giant. There looks like there may be only one more. And it may not even follow this plane. It could be around that star there somewhere. Nope. Your scanner will typically, depending on how far away they are, it will typically find any asteroid belt clusters, which is what those are. That's what the number 5 is down here. So the asteroid clusters, metal-rich bodies. All right, there it is. No life on that planet. So let's, and that's, like I said, that's the only one. There was only 2. So let's find its moons. It looks like it's got several moons. First one we found is D. There's E. And that's F. Wow. There's the primary moon, and it's got some geological features happening. And this is a little bit of a pain. So I have to sit here and go through all. And by the way, all of this data that you're collecting, doing your planetary scans, is worth credits. Once you hit a port that's more than 20 light years away from the system that you've scanned, you can sell it. The more detail you have, if you do planetary scans and whatnot, the more your data is worth. That's another thing that ticked me off about the guy that destroyed me for just killed me out of the blue for no reason, is I had about 30 or 40 sectors worth of data. I had about roughly 6 to 7 million credits worth of data. No geological features. I had about 6 to 7 million credits worth of planetary data, not just system scans. I'm talking full planetary scans and everything. And when you if your ship gets destroyed, that you lose all that data. So not only was there's 19 geological features on that one. Not only did I lose my ship and the contract that I was carrying, there's G, nope. But I lost all of that data that was worth millions of credits as well. All right, nothing happened in there. We still got two more. And I'm going to say they're just going to be planets because we've already discovered the gas giants. I mean, it could be one planet with a moon, which looks like that might be the case. All right, there's the 3rd planet. And, yep, this looks like a moon. No, that's the 2nd planet. All right, so we'll get out of the FSS. And let's take a look at the system. Now you can bring this up after you've hit your discovery scanner. You just won't have any information about the planets. You won't know what they're composed of and which one has the minerals you're looking for. But see, there's that one planet had all those moons. Was that 7 moons? And the, you can't land on the bigger planets. If you can't zoom into them like this, if you can't zoom into them, then you can't land on them. The only ones you can land on have the blue lines. And if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like these two planets orbit each other, or these two moons orbit each other, as well as orbiting the planet itself. All right, so that's that system. So we're going to go ahead and throttle up and jump to hyperspace. Will I do this with every single system that I pass through? No, because some systems are hostile. Let me take a moment and explain to you what I mean. If you notice under reputation, I am, as you can see, allied with the Empire. And the reason for that is because, and we'll bring up the galactic powers, these are the individuals that are of note. And every Thursday, this data updates. Last Thursday, Arissa Lavinie Duval, who is part of the Empire, she's the Emperor actually of the Empire. Is, see the little blue triangle next to her name going pointing up? She increased in standing since the previous Thursday, and once a week, all of this information updates, and these people's reputation, effect on the system, and whatnot is affected by the players, and what you do to support them. I am pledged to Aisling Duval, which is her niece. Who else? Let me find somebody else who is, I don't know anything other than what I've learned in his bio. I don't know anything about him. But Zemina Torval is another power player in the Empire. Every one of these factions represents one of the various superpowers in the system. And the players, what you do in support of these individuals, like Aisling, who is a Imperial Senator, what you do to support them, and when I say support them, is currently I've been fortifying sectors that she either controls or exploits, one of the two. For example, as you can see, fortification in this sector is succeeding, and what you do is you go to a system that she controls, collect media pamphlets, and take them to the system that you want to fortify, which in this case is Lambda 1 Tucanae. Nobody is trying to oppose her in this system at all. And you can go through each one of these, and you can see somebody's trying to oppose her. If they reach their trigger of 69,490, whatever it is they do for their opposition. In the case of Aisling Duval, like I said, I pick up media pamphlets, or you can see Aisling program materials from Kubio and deliver them to contacts in the system to bolster her support. And if none of the players in the game did this for her, then, and a bunch of players supported, what's his name here? Where's he at? Yeah, this guy, who is her primary opposition. If nobody supported her in that system, then more than likely, and as you can see, somebody is trying to oppose her. We only needed 5,000 because this is her system. This is one of her systems that she's owned for a while. So the trigger to fortify is lower than the trigger to undermine. So somebody is trying to undermine her in this system. And if they spend all of their time just traveling from whatever primary system Aisling's opposition is in, carrying these program materials, I guess, or whatever for him. I don't know. I've never worked for him. I don't know what exactly it is you do to undermine. But you get a vote depending on your rank, which I have only been pledged 1 week and 2 days with Ashley Duvall, and I am currently at rating 2. But you only have to get 100 merits in order to increase from rank 1 to rating 2. So as you can see, I had 193. 93 were carried over from last week, and in order to hit rating 3, I have to get 750 merits, which I do plan on doing some work for her. But you get a salary. They call it a salary. When you go to collect, they call it a salary, but they call it a weekly bonus. So at rating 2, every Thursday I will be given 50,000 credits, which is nothing in this game. I can earn that just with one mission. I can earn 3 times that with one mission and more. I get a consolidation vote, which that comes into play under the preparation, where you would prep a system for her to take control of. But in order to cast that vote, in order for that vote to be effective, you have to be pledged to them for 1 month, I believe is what it says somewhere. Okay. But I can begin prepping these systems. Last week, let me see where it's at. It's about her stats. She has 76 control systems, and 61 of those are fortified. This is what, okay, her nearest opponent changed last week. It is now Zachary Hudson as opposed to the other guy I thought, Lee Yong Rue. Zachary Hudson, and he actually lost, if I'm not mistaken, and he is the Federation, I think they call him Prime Minister, President, the Alliance's Prime Minister. But he's actually lost. I think he was in position 1 last week. And Arissa Lavini Duval was in, I believe she was in position 3. But you can find out all about these folks in the Codex, which is what I showed you earlier, in the knowledge base under individuals. And these are all there are some individuals here that are not the power players, but they're still important in the development of various corporations and galaxies, systems and whatnot. So if you want to, like, for example, I'll play the one for Ashley Duvall. Okay, so you get an idea. You can go through and while you're scanning systems and carrying passengers and mining for resources, um, oops, I want to stay on that plane. You can listen to and learn about the various political factions and whatnot that are in battles and conflicts that are taking place in the galaxy. Um, and it affects your decisions and what you who you're going to pledge to and what. And if you listen, if you heard and paid attention to what she said about tradition and the people that carry it and cherish it and expect you to do the same and forward it in turn, she's talking specifically about, you learn this if you listen to the whole thing. She's talking specifically about her aunt, who is the current emperor. And I know it would technically it's empress, but in the game she's the emperor. Now listen to what Arissa has to say. Arissa is her aunt and the current emperor. Now she's talking about Ashling. Okay, so then if you listen to Zamina Torval, now the narrator will go on and tell you more about Arissa or Ashling or whichever person you're listening to or learning about rather. But both Arissa and Zamina Torval absolutely disdain Ashling because Ashling she supports those less fortunate, and you have to listen to these a few times to get them. I mean, if you read them, personally, if I read something, then I usually get it the first or second time around. But listening to it, I have to listen to it several times because, well, my brain tends to focus more on what I'm doing, like planet scanning or system scanning or what have you. But that's just the way my brain works. Everybody's different. Oh, and I think in the last video, if you watched any of the last video, it was 3 hours long, and I didn't edit it at all. I didn't understand what this was, the hyperspace dethrottle. Yeah, I know what that's for now. When you jump into a system, if you don't have that engaged and you don't immediately, well, let me just show you. The D throttle, not a brown dwarf, the D throttle kicks in as soon as you enter a system so you don't fly directly into the star. So I find that pretty handy because, during the few seconds you're traveling there, I don't know, maybe somebody texts you, maybe your buddy comes in the room and talks to you or something, and yeah, you'll just fly right into the star if you don't. I didn't actually experience that, but it tells you right here, hyperspace dethrottle engaged. So, and that's it for that system. But see how this is supposed to be a brown dwarf star? Let's spin back to it. I've traveled a good distance from it already. Yeah, that doesn't look brown at all. And I don't know enough about astronomy to know why it's called a brown dwarf star, even though it's not brown. But I find it so awesome about how, like, for example, the various nebulas. There's your Barnard's Ring, there's the Witch Head Nebula, and you can see all of those on your galaxy map. There's the California Nebula, that's that red one right there, and kind of obscured. You can't really see it from this angle. Is also the oh no, it's down below it because I've flown so far. Is the Pleiades Nebula, which is that one right down there. As you can see, I've been inside that nebula. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the map controls. Hope you guys don't get queasy. But if you pull out, see there's the Pleiades Nebula, and you can see I've got the I've got two systems bookmarked in there for various reasons. But there's Barnard's Loop, the Horsehead Nebula, the Witchhead Nebula, another well-known landmark is that dark spot right there is the coal sack, which looks much. And I haven't been here, but I'm excited to go here. And yes, you can fly to everyone. You can fly through all of these. The entire galaxy is available. What's out there, I don't know. There is, like I said in earlier when I showed you the codex, there is the what they're called the. Oh wow! I just realized I'm in the inner Orion Spur. That's where you start off with. Well, my target is not even in the same galactic sector. See, the name of each sector is at the top of the screen there. There's the Temple, Elysian Shore, which is where I'm ultimately going, the Formidine Rift, Errant Marches, and these are the actual names that have been given to the various sectors of our galaxy. Yeah, and every one of those stars that you see right there, as you zoom in, and I think I may have shown you this, every one of those are star systems that you can fly to. And I find that awesome, that the scale and the magnitude of this game, what's in these systems and various planetary bodies, I really couldn't tell you because I've never been here. But that's just hella cool. So yeah, I just now realized that this is why they gave you 3 weeks to complete this mission, this contract. And now that I realize it's that far away, it should be worth a hell of a lot more than 8 million credits. But the good news is that as I don't have to stop at stations, there's some various other Elephant's Trunk Nebula, North American, and Pelican Nebulas. And yeah, you can fly into all those. But this is where, in order to unlock a certain engineer, which is a person within the game that can increase your, they can give you tips and modify certain chip systems, while you can buy higher grade, like if you've got a third class, I don't know, frame shift drive, but it's in a class 4 slot, then you can upgrade to a class 4 frame shift drive. But you can go to specific engineers who can further modify your frame shift drive or your engines or your sensors or whatever their specialization is, and have them modify so that it puts off less heat, or if it's your sensors, it gives a wider scanning angle. There's just so much in this game. It's incredibly awesome, and I feel really shitty that I had never heard of this game until now, because this game originally started out years and years and years ago, and I'm surprised I'd never heard of it. But now that I have, I'm completely. This has definitely replaced Skyrim. If you guys are gamers, and which obviously if you're watching this, you are a gamer, especially watching this boring ass video that I'm recording right now, or streaming right now. Yeah, that blue mark up there is where I'm at now. But this is the Pleiades Nebula, and this star system here, Maya, however you want to pronounce it. We can take a look at that system as well. There's a black hole in that system, and there's information that tells you all about it. But there is a Thargoid presence in this system and surrounding systems. And in order to unlock that specific engineer, which as soon as you come out of the training area, which I covered that in my first video. As soon as you come out of the training area, which is all those little orange flags way over there, once you leave there, you can't get back in there. But you have to collect what's called meta alloys and take it to that engineer, which that particular engineer is over in the Desiat system, which is that one right there. That's got, it's bookmarked, and it has the little, I guess that's the engineer symbol, let you know that there's, but you get an invitation to come to that system, and in order to unlock that engineer, you have to bring her one meta alloy, and meta alloys can only be, as far as I know, I think there's one place somewhere that sells them, but I didn't go there. I went to the Pleiades Nebula, which I just showed you down there in the Maya system, and went scanning planets until I found a planet with a Thargoid presence, and was able to destroy one of their barnacles, which is, barnacles are what they use, the Thargoids use to seed a planet and they may drop barnacles on that planet, may not come back for generations. But basically, it's their form of it's their way of terraforming a planet. But no, that's not correct. That they don't terraform with barnacles. The barnacles will leach resources from the planet and bring them to the surface in a form that they can use. And one of those resources that gets developed from the barnacles is meta alloys. There's other things like phosphorus and iron and a ton of other various materials, as you can see here: iron, lead, manganese. You can collect nickel, molybdenum. You can collect all of that stuff from those barnacles as well. Those, but you have to get one meta alloy. It took me. I didn't. I found one on like the third planet that I scanned and landed on. And I will admit, I was a little concerned with exploring an alien um, outpost. I was concerned with being destroyed. But from what I was able to determine, there aren't actual aliens there. There are kind of like little drones that they leave. They call them scavengers. They leave there to collect the resources, I guess. 11 bodies in the system, but the game is very, very detailed. And if you aren't patient and you don't like what I'm doing here, then this game's not for you. It you have to invest time in this game to get anywhere. And I'm collecting this data to make my trip worth it now that I know exactly how far I'm going. I wasn't planning on stopping in every single system, and I wasn't planning on scanning every single system. All right, that's the only one. Let's see if there's any moons in this. No, but there are asteroids. And typically, most asteroid belts are pretty close to each other, and if you scan one within a star cluster, then you will have collected them all. All right, so we got a few free floating ice planets. That's the fourth planet. This might be a moon. Yeah, that's a moon. No geological features on any of them. And like I said, this game's not for everybody. It's you truly have to have an interest. Now you don't have to do what I'm doing. You can get a transport ship and load it up with cargo holds and mining equipment. And the next system I find with a starport that's neutral or allied, which there's probably that's another thing. Once you're in the galactic map, now you will have to use your for example, if I wanted to plot a course to this, I would have to use my mouse to hit that button right there. That's why I have to sit at my desk while I play this game. Um, to interact with these pages on the galactic map, at least I don't know about other headsets, but for example, I'm in realistic mode. If I want to see the power map, which shows me realms of influence, which I am outside of any of the superpower influences. I'm no longer even in. And the various colors represent. Now, obviously, I'm pledged to Aisling Duval, so this is her region. All the white globules is what I call it. And the green is Alliance, I believe, and the red is Federation, and then there's Independent. But each individual that you learn about through the Codex is represented by these colors, and you can zoom into each one. It's only going to show me because I've only got Aisling selected right now, but Edmund Mahon, who is the current Prime Minister of the Alliance, this is his sector. These are all his, and these are the regions. The shields regions are the ones that, and again, I don't know about his. The white shields are the ones that need to be fortified. The yellow ones are the ones that are fortified. Ooh. Does that mean I can undermine? I don't know what that target means. I'm not going to learn about it. I'm not going to worry about it right now because I have a long, long way to go. But again, you have to use your mouse in order to interact with these panels. There is absolutely no way without undoing and unbinding some of the controls to my. Let's see where his headquarters is. All right, his headquarters is a place called Gateway. But again, this is my pledge, and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I pledged mostly because she was the cutest one. But those are all of her sections that have already reached their fortification trigger, are the yellow shields, and the white shields are ones that still yet need to be fortified. There's just so much information to be learned about this game. So you can also bring up the map, and this will allow you to search for and look at. I'm going to have to go down. The various trading for various commodities. You don't have to be a miner. You don't have to be an explorer. You can just be a trader and trade various commodities within a system. Let me bring it back up to realistic map and get Kubio. There we go. And there's no information. The reason it's not showing me anything right now is because I'm too far away. I'm way the hell up there. And I haven't stopped at any ports, but typically it will show you lines of whatever sector you're in. Of the various materials, the various commodities that get traded. And like I said earlier, some commodities are illegal in some sectors, some sectors think they're fine, and you'll know because it will tell you right above your fuel gauge there, it will tell you whether you're carrying illicit cargo or wanted passengers or any number of. This game is just so detailed. I have performed a couple of mining missions with my earlier ships that I no longer own. The passenger contracts pay the most. There are some contracts and missions that you can't do unless you are in a squadron with friends and you've got multiple ships. Like if you need to transport 9,000 types of one commodity or another, Did I, did I scan the system? 9. If you need the transport, there's no way in the time frame that they give you, there's no way you can do it as an individual. You just can't. So in those commodities, those missions are marked with a special icon, and they tell you when you look at the details of the mission what pretty much what you're going to need. But right now, I'm trying to get as much credits as I can quickly, and I know this doesn't seem very quickly, but once you have completed the mission and you return to your home base and you watch your credits jump from 6 million and you get an increase of 10 million. I forgot to look at that. Yeah, no life on that planet. It'll tell you right up there at the top, class 1 gas giant with ammonia based life or whatever may be there. That's the only gas giant, so let's get its moons. And that, like I said, this part is a little bit of a pain in the butt. You got to sit here for, you could sit here for up to 25, 30 seconds while it refines the scan to tell you how many geological features are present on that moon or planet. So that's why you see me just jump in and jump out real quick, because if there's nothing there, I don't need the information gets stored in my computer anyway. So, and all I'm looking for is the value of the data. And that's it. Everything else that's, you know what, that was, these are asteroid clusters. And those carry value as well. And typically, once you get one, you have them all. Typically, not always. And that's it. They're all in relatively the same area. So they're all surrounded that star. So there's 3 stars in the system. Yeah, there's A, B, and C. But you always come in on A star when you enter a system, and then whatever stars, and there's the asteroid clusters. Which I thought it gave you information about those, but I guess I was wrong. But that's this system's map. Throttle up. And again, there are no factions in that system. And again, initially I thought anarchy just meant that if I flew into a system, I was going to be attacked nonstop. But no, it just means that there are no security forces. There could still be factions in a system that is listed like this. You know, only 1 star in this system too. And there are better frame shift drives out there. I think I've got the best one for this ship. It's a class 3 frame shift drive, I believe. And I think I'm going to get rid of my economy or my business class. Not get rid of it, but put it in storage. Another single star system. with nothing else in here. Oh, let's show you what I'm talking about here. If you go into the module section, and how you move through the tabs is the trigger buttons. Once you look at a panel and it comes up, and I don't know how it works outside of VR, but the modules tab shows you everything that you have installed. It shows you how much, what its health is, whether it's taken any damage, what power percentage it uses. For example, my thrusters use the most power. You can assign various priorities to each system in your ship, and as you can see at the bottom, I'm only using 90% of the power output of my ship, of my power plant. So if I were like using 99% or more, then I would assign priorities to various systems so that if when I deploy my weapons, obviously some systems are going to have to be shut down in order for my weapons to be at full power. But right now I really don't have to worry about that because my power plant supplies me with more than enough power for all of my systems. But I have where's it at? Oh, it's not a module, so it's not going to be in here. It's in my inventory. But I have two cabins. I've got a business class cabin, which has no passengers, and I've got a first class cabin with 2 passengers in it. Now, obviously, it's kind of redundant, and I didn't realize that at the time when I purchased the first class cabin and replaced. I forget what I replaced. I had an empty slot. So I bought a first class cabin thinking that I could carry multiple passengers at one time, and you can if you've got a small jump. Like I carried one guy from the same station I picked up this mission for Kaylin Hill, and he only needed to travel 1 jump away, and he was good with business class. Or if you have a passenger that wants economy class or business class, they can use the business class or the economy class cabins. But if you've got a first class passenger like Kaylin was only interested in the economy, I think, or business class. If I had the original cabin that I had on this ship when I bought it, which was economy, I wouldn't have been able to take this contract. But because I have business and first class cabins, I moved her from the business class to the first class, which was an upgrade for her. And I think I'm going to get rid of, I think I'm going to store my 10 passenger business class cabin and see if they don't have a class 5 first class cabin somewhere. And yeah, you have to find this stuff on your own. There are tons and tons and tons and tons of websites out there. You know what? Let's take a moment here and let's all right. Obviously that's my YouTube live feed. But there are tons and tons of websites. If you're looking for information about anything, there's a bunch of different sites that you can go to. If you're looking for a specific sector or a specific commodity in so many light years away from you, you can find that information at a variety of different sites online. forgot to throttle up. This is I find this just an awesome game. Like I said, you can be a trader. You can even choose to be a pirate and hijack other people's crap. I mean, just so many different options to choose from. Hang on a second, maybe. Let's take a drink. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if there's no factions. So hiccups again. See, there's the Barnard's Loot, the Witch Nebula, and I forget the other one. What the other one's called. Where's the... You should be able to see, and I don't know what it looks like from this angle, from this. Yeah, there's the California Nebula, and you should be able to see the Pleiades Nebula as well. I don't know if you can see the coal sack from this angle in space. I don't, from this distance, I don't even know what it looks like. I think it might be somewhere beyond. Yeah, you should be able to see it, but it's kind of obscured because we're so far away from it. That's it way up there. But if you look in somewhere in that arm, and maybe that's it right there. And I've also discovered planets that don't list a maybe that's it. That little dark spot right there, maybe that's it. Anyway. So as I was saying, in systems such as this, you don't have to worry too much about somebody coming up on you and trying to pull you out of Super Cruise. Now, I know Discovery Scanner can also be activated from within the FSS. Looks like only icy bodies. Maybe. Nope, just icy bodies. And typically very few of these have geological features when they're all spread out like this. Not always the case, depending on their distance to each other. So these systems are quick scans. They're not worth a lot of money. I can't tell you exactly yet. I haven't quite figured out exactly what the monetary value is of just a system with a few icy bodies in it with no geological features. That doesn't mean they're not. They don't have resources that you can mine. But typically systems like this are so far out of the way, it's not worth it. But it's systems like this where there's no faction presence and no security forces. You might occasionally run into some other players who has been playing the game for a number of for a long time, and they've got their own carrier, which I don't have at this point. And when I am to the point where I could afford that, system scan complete. Still in, there we go. A few asteroid clusters in this sector, but that's about it. And just because the system is says anarchy doesn't mean that there's not some faction or another in there. But occasionally you can find seven bodies. Occasionally you'll find somebody's carrier, some player's carrier in one of these obscure systems. And that will also come up on your FSS. Oh. All right, looks like icy bodies. 14 signals, those are probably all salvage. See, like that's a signal, a transient signal, salvage. And they only last a certain amount of time. And what you do with those is, if you notice under the fuel gauge, you have mass lock, landing gear, and cargo scoop. If you deploy your cargo scoop, that's which you can't do in Super Cruise, so I don't know why I tried to show you that. But see, certain things that you can't even. This is the button that I'm pressing right now. The only thing this does, if you push your left joystick to the right, it will bring up that camera mode that I showed you earlier. But when you drop out of Super Cruise, that button also will then display your landing gear and your cargo scoop. If you can't do something in Super Cruise, then it won't even give you the option to hold those buttons. So let's go ahead and finish this scan of the system here. Nothing there. Nothing there. And one more. And that's the system. And again, there's probably no factions in there. Because otherwise, some of those moons and planets that I scanned would have shown, will show what presence is on those planets, if there is anything like humans or Thargoids. And that's what I started to say a moment ago, is I have come across a couple of planets in the Maya system and around in the surrounding neighboring systems, a listing of other. I don't know what that means. I don't know what other means. 52 bodies in this. Most of these are probably moons. Nobody in this section or in this system at all. So let's get away from the sun just a little bit. And there looks like, according to the radar, there are 2 suns in this system. All right, throttle down. Oh yeah, this is a busy system. I'm surprised there's nobody in this system. This is, depending on the resources, this is the kind of place I would park my carrier and just leave my ships on my carrier, and depending on what's around as far as population. But this is probably a resource intensive. All right, so we're going to start with the gas giants. because most of the icy bodies, when you're in a system with multiple gas giants, most of those are going to turn out to be moons of the gas giants. So that's the fastest way to discover the system. Class 3 gas giant, and depending on the angle from which you scan, will determine how you view the rings around the various gas giants. All right, so that's the first one. But before we look for more, we're going to get the moons for this guy. This system is going to have a lot of geological activity. This is one of those ones you're going to sit in for like a half an hour scanning. But the data, the price of the data is worth it, in my opinion. Especially when you're only getting paid 8 million credits to fly into a completely different sector of the galaxy. Nothing there. Nothing there. And that's an asteroid cluster, I think, right there. Oh, that was a rocky body. And some of them, depending on their distance from you when you enter the system, some of these planetary bodies, these celestial bodies, will already have already been located. Your computer will have already been able to detect them. So that's H. That is D1-53A10H. So that means this gas giant has at least 8 moons. If not more. And the time is in Greenwich Mean Time, by the way. And there's no features. So I sat there for no reason. Sometimes that happens. So if you know what your time zone is relative to Greenwich Mean Time, like I'm 4 hours behind Greenwich Mean Time, I'm -4. So it's not actually 1:22. It's what, 9:22. 7 geological features. Nothing. That's it for this zoom level. So that's it for that planet. So let's take a look at that rate real quick. I stopped counting. I want to see how many moons that planet had. See, your system will give you a layout of the system. Your scanner will give you a layout of the system, but you won't be able to get any details about as far as whether or not that there's any resources on that planet, whatever. Ooh, that moon even has rings. But anyway, I just wanted to see how many moons. So it looks like 8, 9. That's the most moons I've seen around any planetary body so far. I've seen ones with 8. 9 is the most. And the reason that's of interest to me is because, wait, looks like there's some more here. The reason that's of interest to me is because in the codex there is a bit of information about this organization called the Dark Wheel, who inhabits a station that orbits the 8th moon of an unnamed gas giant. So I just kind of keep an eye out for that. in case I happen to run across it. The likelihood of that happening is nil, but hey, you never know. It could happen. Does it actually exist in the game? I don't know. I could do a Google search and see if anybody has actually ever encountered the dark wheel. And the reason they're called the dark wheel is because of it's a wheel type station and they run on minimal minimal power output. So hence the name dark wheel. I'll run through these real quick. Again, if this is not a game for everybody. You have to have a true interest in astronomy to really get into this game. And you know what? I got to stop saying that because that's not true. Like I said, there's so much more you can do. You don't even have to go and explore planets and whatnot. You can just fly around and be like that idiot that killed me yesterday and just attack people for no reason. But you know, it's something to do. It's part of the game. Was I pissed? Yeah, I was pissed. I was mad. Oh my, I was 38 hot, boy. That I was 38. That pissed me off because I had spent probably 4 hours on that mission. I had probably spent 4 hours on that mission, only to get less than. I mean, I was literally less than 200 light seconds away from my home station to turn the mission in. And with all the, like I said, with the data, the planetary scan data and the sector scan data, and everything that I had done, I would have raked in probably about 14 million credits, all told. So yeah, I was pissed. And if your ship does get destroyed, as long as you have the credits, you have insurance on your ship, and I should be able to show you what that is here in a moment. I want to finish this scan first. Asteroid belts. That looks like that might be it for here. Yep. All right, so let's go back to finding the gas giants again. That's probably Icy Body. Water World. No, Ammonia World. It says Water World, but according to this analysis, the filtered spectral analysis down at the bottom, it says Ammonia World. I'm surprised there's no geological features, being that it has iron magma volcanism. All right, so let's go back to looking for gas giants. Wow, that one didn't even, I didn't even have to wait for that one. Did I already scan? I didn't scan that. It wasn't even on. That's the first time I ever saw that happen. Another tiny little planet. And the reason some of this is this information is useful is, for example, the gravity on this moon. Is it a moon? Yeah, it's a moon. The gravity on this moon is so low. If I were to land on it, I would have to be careful driving around on the surface because theoretically you could, because your rover has thrusters that would allow you to jump over like large chasms or rocks or whatever, depending on what's on the surface. And theoretically, yeah, you could lose your gravitational pull and go flying off into space, and you'd be stuck. I don't know how that would work. I know your ship, if you run out of fuel or something, your ship has a beacon you can turn on. Supposedly, other people can find you and assist you or destroy you or whatever. All right, well, I'm about 71% done with this scan. There's quite a few moons on this gas giant as well. Oh, that's a neat looking moon. That's that one I said had rings on it. That's it for that zoom level. And metal. 32% metal. The surface of that, or the composition of that planet is 32% metal. And it tells you what iron, nickel, sulfur, carbon, chromium, manganese, phosphorus, zinc, cadmium, yttrium, and tungsten. All right, one more gas giant somewhere in the system. Let's go this way. And there it is. No life on any of the gas giants. All right, so let's find your moons. And occasionally you will come across a gas giant that doesn't have any moons. Or any planet doesn't have to be a gas giant. And you have a bunch of them in line with each other that are lined up. That's why you have to zoom in at different levels. Another high metal content world. 36% metal. That's 1.5 times the size of Earth. The rest of the planets are going to be metal. And I'm 95%. Probably only have one or two more planets to locate. Sulfur, carbon. Yeah, two more. Iron, nickel, sulfur, carbon, manganese, phosphorus, germanium, selenium. feel like Sheldon on Big Bang. If you guys ever saw the episode where he constantly repeating the elemental table. All right, so that's it. We've already looked at the system map, so we're not going to go back there. And 88 jumps to go before I have to replot a new course. Because again, remember this, that is not my destination. That is just like halfway to my destination. That was the farthest away, and yes, I had to go through each one of those systems on the galactic map to find the one that was most distant in the direction I was headed. But again, the good news is, why is the orbit? How did that? Yeah, that orbital line should have been there because I don't. Why is that showing up? That's weird. Does that represent the orbital plane and I'm exactly on it? Because my orbital lines, how did they get turned on? I did not turn those on. I never touched a button to turn those on. How did those get turned on? But yeah, you can turn on the orbital lines so that you can see the orbit of each planet. And I'll leave them on so you can see it after the scan. Let's get away from the star. And let's, the red one, there's 29 bodies. The red one is the orbital plane. And while I know that this is supposedly on my HUD, it takes away from the realism. All right, so let's gas giant. And yes, by the way, those, when you do a planetary scan, you can also fire a probe at the rings, and it will show you the various hot spots that have particular resources, which you'll see them listed. Yeah, I'm sure there's some moons here, and you'll probably see them here. It'll say high resource extraction site or low resource extraction site. And those are typically found in the rings around gas giants, or the rings around any planet that consists of rings. But we should see some of those. Well, you know what? Maybe not. Because now that I'm talking about it, I realize the only sectors that contain those types of resources or resource spots are systems that have factions in them and mercenaries and other various groups of individuals, and some of them are just NPCs for you to interact with. I don't know if you can create your own mercenary group and create a station and have a station for them. I just don't know yet, but let me take a look at, are there any factions in this system? Nope. So will we find some individuals or individual resource sites here? I really have no idea. Maybe, maybe not. All right. Okay, now this is a gas giant that has ammonia-based life on it. If I were in my other ship, that has my planetary scanner on it, I would mark this this planet, and once I was done with my scan, I would go and do a surface scan of this planet and the rings. And the only reason is because the Thargoids are an ammonia-based alien race, and that I can't land on the planet or anything, but that information, getting that information may be something with a surface scan, may be more valuable. Again, I don't know. I haven't determined the value of the various scans and whatnot. And these are things I like to find out for myself. Yeah, I might cheat and go to a website and go to a website to find a specific commodity or something. Like if my passenger said, "Hey, find me 2 units of consumer resources or something," then in order to complete that mission, yeah, because I don't know what systems sell. I know that consumer technology is something that is developed in a high tech sector or at a high tech station, but yeah, we still got a few more here somewhere. But I don't know where those stations are. And I mean, I could fly around for days trying to find a high tech station. And stations, you can locate stations using your FSS as well. But why invent the wheel? Reinvent the wheel. All right, go back to our gas giants. Nothing there. That's probably a moon. Tiny little moon. The locations point at the top of the information panel on the right there. If there were any settlements on the moon or the planet that you're scanning, it would say like human, and then it would have a number of how many planets or how many uh, settlements were on that planet. Icy body right there. And being that there's no factions in this sector, in this system, then it's highly unlikely that we'll find any type of like Thargoid settlements or. But that's not to say they don't exist. Moons. Another tiny little moon. Wow, that moon's only 862 kilometers in diameter. That's crazy. Wow, that one's even smaller. But aside from the alien races, there's another alien race that used to exist that's no longer around called Guardians. And perhaps that was the other that I talked about earlier, where I found a planet that listed a human settlement and it said other one. I didn't. I did a surface scan, but I didn't land on the planet to investigate because I was on a mission. But perhaps that's the Guardians that are no longer around. And the Guardians are a race of aliens that worship technology, basically, and they created a sentient technological techno race of beings that ended up destroying their creators. And again, that's information you can find in the knowledge base. All right, that looks like all the moons. One more gas giant. And like I said, it's easier to find the gas giants and then locate all their moons, because typically in a system with multiple gas giants, the majority, not all of them, but I would say a good 85 to 100% of them are going to be found as moons around the gas giant. And don't ask me to explain things like whatever Argo periapsis is. I knew at one time when I was much younger, but I have since forgotten, and I exited. I didn't mean to exit. All right, so let's go back to that system we were just in and finish locating moons. And yeah, this game can take a lot of time. But if this stuff doesn't interest you, don't be an explorer like I'm working on, which is, you know, and I will try my hand at piracy and such further down the road once I develop my combat skills in my whatever ship I decide to end up using as a combat vessel. I'm really working on, the reason that I'm working so hard on my Empire rank is because the ship that I want, you have to, that's it, we're done. But now, I don't know why it keeps disappearing and reappearing, but you can see the orbital lines. And perhaps it's because it has to be dead center. Yeah, see, I don't understand why that. See, or is it based on? Yeah, it's based on what I'm looking at. So I'm looking at that particular star that orbits the other star. But see, that right there is a planet. I should be seeing the orbital line for that as well, and I don't understand why I'm not. What about, what's this up here? See, that's another planet. That's the fifth planet in this sector that orbits the primary star. I should be seeing the orbital lines for it as well. But I'm not. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Let's. And again, there we go. I guess sitting still isn't. And you can see the orbital lines around all that. And whatever the orbits that particular planetary body. All right, let's head out of this sector and go to the next one for this system. And that's an anarchy again. All right, so I'm going to skip a few sectors, a few systems, until I find one that has something else in it other than a bunch of empty planets. That last system was very interesting, I thought, simply because of the gas giant that contained the ammonia-based life form. And No system factions. No controlling superpower. Let's go ahead and turn on this playlist. Let's start back with the Alliance. And we're going to turn off the orbit lines. Red dwarf star. And if you guys have ever listened to, if you've ever played the game Lone Echo, which I'm waiting for Lone Echo 2 to come out, they've they've moved the release date a few months away. This woman, I swear to God, if you guys are familiar with Liv from the game Lone Echo, listen to that woman's voice again. Listen to her voice. I swear to God, that's the same actress. Oh my God, we're going to stop for fuel here soon. Listen to her voice. I'm going to scoop some fuel here. Huh. Everything's behind the sun. No. Yeah. That little square box sticking out on the bottom is my fuel scoop, I believe. And we're done. Now I could stop at a station somewhere, but I don't know where the nearest station's going to be. I may not see another station until I get back, until my return trip. I mean, I've jumped through probably 30, 30 systems now and have not discovered a system with any presence of anything. See, nothing. But if you remember from the galaxy map, from the power structure, as far as I know, those are the only human inhabited systems is within those colored globules of that showed the various power, the various individuals and their influence and control over only two, three, four bodies. But again, I'm going to skip several sectors because I want to get on down the road and find out what's what. Yeah, no factions in this system. It's good for exploration, but it's not good for ship repair. I don't have any repair limpets on board. I don't have a limpet controller. So if I do take damage, I'm going to have to find a station or a planetary settlement or something that or somebody's carrier, somebody that offers. So there's upsides and downsides. Good news is with a fuel scoop on board, I don't have to ever run out of. I don't have to worry about running out of fuel. So yeah, and the fuel scoop works by sucking hydrogen. You get within the corona of a star. Don't get too close to it, obviously, otherwise you'll be destroyed. But you get within the corona of a particular star type, and you can scoop hydrogen and refuel your ship. And as you can see, and I don't remember if I covered this in the beginning in the first video, but as you can see, you have power distribution right next to your fuel supply there. And I don't think I'm going to run into any factions. I think I'm way too far out. I don't know what the range is of human expansion, and I don't know what else may be out here. So let's go ahead and just want to take a quick look at this system. Oh, the fuel. You can even run into Earth-like worlds in this range down here. But I've yet to find an Earth-like world that you can land on. And that's going to be an ammonia. Almost has the same air pressure as Earth. Just a little bit bigger than Earth. I have a hard time breathing on that planet. I don't know if you guys can hear it through the microphone or not, but I live a couple of blocks away from the ballpark, and every Friday and Saturday night after the ball game, they let off fireworks. There's the water world. Doesn't look like much like water, muddy water. there's only one more rocky ice world in this, and one more. You can tell there's looks like this will be maybe 4 worlds in this frequency here. I don't know if you can see the frequency at the bottom there. Yeah, this will be the last rocky ice world I discovered. See the little blip when the frequency thing disappeared? The filtered spectral analysis. What was that? No atmosphere at all, no surface pressure. Okay. That's it. That's the last one. "74 jumps to go." I really wish I had brought a planetary scanner. I really wish I had brought a planetary scanner, for the simple fact that I just realized that let me show you what I'm talking about here. A lot of these planets that I've been discovering, which, there we go. Yeah, see, it was first discovered and first mapped by. These are other players that have already been in this system. I don't know exactly what year this game came out, but people have already been through here exploring. And I think a couple of the systems that I went through, I could be wrong. I don't think they had that information. But again, even though it's already been discovered by somebody else and somebody else already used a planetary scanner to map the planet, the information is still worth credits to anybody that's more than 20, any faction or superpower that's more than 20 light years away. So apparently, I mean, is regardless of how far out I am, somebody has already probably already been where I'm going and in the surrounding neighboring systems. Dude, I still got a hell of a ways to go. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to plot about 3 more courses. See if I try to yeah, I'm still trying to get very used to these controls. Map feature in my end. Yeah, one map I need to go to realistic. There we go. See how my plot route is unavailable, maximum distance exceeded. Yeah, so once I've reached the end of my current leg of my journey, I'm going to have to plot another one, and it looks like if I yeah, if my current from that white box down there to the fuel star, I'm sorry, not the fuel star, the waypoint mark here is any indication, yeah, I'm probably going to have to plot about 4 more, maybe 5 times. And I would be kind of surprised to find that every one of these sectors in the entire galaxy, again, I don't know how long the game's been out, but I'd like to discover a sector that nobody's been in. But I have a sneaking suspicion that that's not going to happen.
Diplomatic relations. The Federation. Alliance
Sounds familiar. Yeah, sounds very familiar. Water-based light. God, that sounds so familiar. All right. This is, let me finish scanning this sector, this system. Okay, I am going to kill this video, and I will be back if I find anything of interest, because I know sitting here watching somebody else play and scan systems is boring as all hell. So I'm gonna go ahead and kill this, and anybody that watches or has watched or was watching, I appreciate it. Throw me a like, whatever, all that good stuff. If you don't, you don't. But I'm gonna kill this video, and hopefully something interesting will come up. Will happen somewhere. All right. You guys have a great evening, and thanks for watching.